unexpected or unprecedented changes in the way our weather works. People who study weather patterns will say that, or no, and even not even people who study, but even from our own personal experiences, weather changes, and it's always been changing. You hear of ice ages. There are even films about the ice age. There's a time where it's like the whole world was covered up in ice.
Hi guys, I am Atino Wasal and this is the Loud Voice podcast and we are on season 2. Yes, and this is the very first episode of season 2 and I'm so excited about it because we are moving on to something that is, I felt from the beginning to be a little dense, but I'm ready to learn and I hope you guys are ready to learn too. In this season, we are talking about climate change. So climate change is referred to as the biggest crisis of our time. And yes, it is. But it's also easy to get lost in the story. There's so much dense science into what climate action or climate change is. And let's not forget about the politics part of it that makes it even more complex, okay? Every country, every leader coming with their own interests and trying to push their own agenda. And it feels like politics has taken over. And the science is also so big for young people and just normal people like us who are not experts to actually get what it is all about. Okay? So before you get lost too much, the Loud Voice podcast is actually here to make this a little bit easier for all of us. Okay? So we understand exactly what is going on in our world. We understand exactly what we are experiencing. We understand that wherever you are, here, how can I call it? That sun that is so hard right now compared to when you were growing up is an effect of climate change. Okay, that lake that you're seeing, fish dying or being washed onto the shore, that is an effect of climate change. We see all these things every day, but I know some of us have not tied them to climate change. Some people think it's just the normal needs of life. This is what happens. But I want to tell you, no, it has got something to do with what we human beings are actually doing to bring forth all that. So with me today is a guest that I believe I don't want to call him an expert because he also told me not to call him an expert. But I still like to throw in that he's an ecologist and he'll tell us what that is because I know some of us don't even know what it is all about. So guys, without further ado, help me welcome Isaac Rayola. I like calling you Isaac Rayola. Okay? It's fine. Sindio? Okay. So Isaac here is an ecologist. Isaac here is a climate change expert. Not expert really, but has an interest in climate change. Okay? And I'm happy that you're also a young person, relatable. We've had so much stories and I'm like, and he's the first person that was here telling me, please, don't make this complicated. And I like that. I like when a guest can come on and tell me, please don't make it complicated. That just means it's going to be easy for my target audience. My target audience is actually young people whom I believe are the people that are going to move forward with the climate change thing, with the climate justice thing. And if we don't involve them now or make it easy for them to understand now, then we are losing them. Okay, so I'm so happy that you got to grace the Loud Voice podcast. Amechelewa. Okay, just had to put it on there. So Isaac, what is climate change according to you? The easiest language possible, not beating around the bush or anything.
What is climate change? Yeah, I'm sure this is a question that most people ask.
Yeah.
And because I will say that it's a word, it's a phrase, it's a phrase that has rocked.
Can I do this?
Sure. Social media, traditional media, people are talking about climate change, but I think it's shrouded in mystery, and people are not sure what's going on. And I think there's just a lot of hysteria and fear and uncertainty and like. What are these people talking about?
Let me just cut you. The people who are talking about climate change,
Yes.
most of them make it look like we had a verge of extinction, guys.
Mageddon.
It's a do or die situation.
Yeah.
It's a do or die situation, but they bring it out in a way that people tend to pull away from the conversation. So
Yeah, so I think probably that's been an undoing, but I think probably also it's just the nature of how life is that when something new or when there's uncertainty, then people tend to ask so many questions and people are not sure what's going on, and of course there's a lot of the media. I think probably it's the way the media works. The media thrives in a lot of
blowing things.
hysteria and the sensations and making things look crazy, and I think that sells a lot. The excitement.
Yeah.
The excitement.
Yeah.
But I would say basically climate change is just unexpected or unprecedented changes in the way our weather works. And I always like to put it there like, weather is something that we did not start studying weather now. I think even old people, ancient, even in school, but even our ancient, in ancient times, people looked at weather because weather dictated life.
So planting and everything.
Daily life, when to plant, harvesting, drying of harvest.
Even market days were according to seasons. Okay.
Yeah. So weather is something that is part of our life. We depend so much on the elements. The rain, the sun, on depending where you are, the snow. If you're up there, the people who.
Right now. I saw people were surprised about Nini, and I was like, "Come on, it's a tropical country."
How come?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come?
Yeah, but a lot of things like what you are mentioning is because of what the phenomenon that people call climate change is basically the fact that we were used to predictable weather patterns. We knew, for example, that like growing up, that by about March, April, there's rains. There's a long rains, and people are preparing to plant because we are an agrarian society. We depend so much on agriculture. So that's a very key thing. Even as a child, you knew that, when it starts raining, our parents or our neighbors or, our community people start going to plant. And then a season comes when now the sun is up. So the harvest is up. Now there is no rain. Now we've harvested maize, which is a common crop, one of the most common crops we have here. So we harvest the rain and we put it out to dry, and then there's the short rains at about September, thereabout, and harvesting happens again in December. So it was pretty much predictable. But now we realize that's not happening. It's not happening. I mean, I think we've had several seasons where the rain starts so much, like in January it's already raining.
Exactly.
But then
early or late.
Yeah, so in January, if it's raining in January, people are like, should we plant or should we wait?
Yeah.
Because it might rain and then it stops. And then we waste our seeds or something like that. So there's been a lot of uncertainty, especially in the farming communities, on when do we plant? Where should we plant or not?
Yeah.
And the weatherman, our Met system, also have not been very accurate in terms of how the because it's like weather patterns have become unpredictable. Basically, even using the most advanced systems, technology, what's being predicted, there's a lot of uncertainty. Like I think within the year, this year, early in the year, or I think maybe around 3-4 months ago, those predictions that we should expect El Nino.
Yeah. There's still that.
Yeah, we are still waiting. Maybe what we're having now is already El Nino. It's hard to tell. But there was talks of El Nino, which basically means that there was going to be change in patterns. We were either going to have, in this case, we were expecting to have a lot of rain, like than usual. But I can say from experience, I can't still tell we've had unusual rains. It's been unpredictable. Like in Kisumu, It rains and it stops.
And then it stops, and then it comes again another day. And
And then it comes. Like I think it rained like about a few days, maybe a few days ago it rained.
yeah.
Now
And
it's
then right now it's drizzling, and then it's gone. Yeah. It's also surprising that areas where we used to expect rainfall so much, it's no longer the case. And I'm feeling like things are shifting. The areas that were not expecting as much rainfall are now getting that, and the areas that were expecting, because I know we've all heard about the hunger issues in central Kenya. Central Kenya is known as the food basket of, okay, when you leave Western alone, but they produce most of the
food.
and food and vegetables and everything for Kenya.
Yes.
The warus and everything, that is where it's from. Then again, you hear these are the people that don't even have food and are relying on relief food also. Not the whole central Kenya. I don't want to push that.
Yeah,
There are
but
some parts of it. But we had always believed that is not the case for this region. So that is still climate change.
most definitely. We need to look at this in perspective. Yeah. The thing is, climate change is definitely worsening
Yeah.
already existing
Oh yeah.
problems. Because I know it's like it's almost hysterical to blame everything on climate change, but you have to look at it in terms of the perspective here is that Kenya as an agricultural country, we've always had challenges
Yeah.
with our agriculture for so many reasons. I mean, either because of poor planning or because of political issues or so many other issues, that face a lot of developed or developing countries. Kenya being one of them. But climate change is definitely making the situation worse. Basically, that's it. In simple terms,
Have our
our problems,
now climate change is bringing them up here even more.
yeah, making the problems, pushing issues to the extreme. Basically, yeah. In simple terms.
So we have talked about them and some of the instances of what climate change has really brought to our community. Really. But then again, someone would want to ask, what are the causes of this thing? So that you were talking about this very big thing of climate change or whatever. But what causes it? So I avoid it. What is the cause for all this? What is the cause for this alarm that we have right now? What brought it? Did you just wake up and we had climate change? Or what is the reasons?
Yeah, that's a big question. There's a background to all this, and it's historical. People who study weather patterns will say that, or no, and even not even people who study, but even from our own personal experiences, weather changes, and it's always been changing. We hear of ice ages. There are even films about the ice age. There's a time where it's like the whole world was covered up in ice. And then the ice melted. There's the first ice age, and then there's another ice. There's always all this ice age.
They're like, are they 4 now or 5?
I mean, honestly, yeah, but I will say that there's been several events of the Earth being covered in ice and the ice melting, back and forth. And definitely that has caused a lot of changes in what we see, changes in soils and the land, vegetation and things like that. But, that's we're talking about so many years ago, like before.
The last one was in like 12,000 years.
So 12,000 years. I mean, depending on what you believe in. Some people say the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
All right.
Yeah, so you're talking about 12,000, but there's a lot of talk about the Earth being 6,000.
Yeah. Everyone has their own beliefs.
Yeah, but yeah, to make it simple, weather's always changed. But what is making this climate change debate become more concerning and people become more interested in it is that if you look at the last 150 years, the warming of the Earth has been to the extreme. Yeah, it's estimated that the Earth's temperature has increased to about 1 degree Celsius already. To be precise, about 0.8 degrees Celsius. Average global temperature has gone up.
Why is that supposed to be alarming? I think, when someone hears 0 point something, it looks so small, okay?
Yeah.
Someone would say, it's not even one. It's not even a whole number yet. Why are you people
Making a big deal
making a
about
big deal out of it?
So what's happening is that scientists have predicted that if the temperature goes beyond 2 degrees Celsius, then the Earth is going to see unprecedented events. Whatever we are seeing now is going to get worse. The weather patterns are going to be unpredictable. We're going to have floods. We're going to have droughts. We're going to have disasters like typhoon. We're going to have hurricanes. We're going to have, depending on which part of the world, like for example in Africa or in Kenya, for example, some of the things that really making our lives difficult: floods, drought, extreme loss of rain, or no rain at all. So we are oscillating between the two. So what is happening is that if the temperatures go much higher than the average, so here we're talking about average temperature. It means meteorologists know what the average temperature is, and so, but we have different temperatures depending on the zone, the ecological zone that we are. Like in the equator, like in Kenya, for example, or in Kisumu, to be specific, our temperatures are always somewhere between 25 to about 30. But then, but we talk about the average. So the World Meteorological Organization, of course, has records of world temperatures and average. So you always have an average. So it means that average is steady. But then it can go up. So that small difference shows that there's a problem. That bump. So it means if you have that, however small, like you say it is, but if you have that increase in temperature, it means it's going to affect a lot of weather patterns. Temperature is a key aspect of weather. Temperature decides on how winds flow. Temperature decides on when it rains and where it rains, and the wind flow. Simple geography. I mean, this is something that people learn in geography. How the wind flows, for example.
I did a little with my little geography background. We read about you remember there's a water body.
The
heat goes in and then it comes back up, forms whatever
clouds
it is forming up there, and then it rains. If this heat hits water, then it goes back, evaporates back. I think we need it. Then why are we seeing supposed to be heated like that and then goes back and bring rain? Why is it dry? Like from someone who doesn't understand it, they keep on clashing. Okay? And then another question: what has it got to do with that? Someone just asked me, what does it got to do with me or all of us?
Like,
how
where
do
is
I
my
come
problem?
in this? What did I do to bring this? Okay? So
I think it's pretty simple. If you look at the geography classes, I think the curriculum was structured in a way to make us understand, the complexity. But it's more complex than that. Otherwise, we have the lake here. It will be raining here.
Yeah,
because it's hot.
It's very hot, and
then
hitting that water body and going back.
And it rains. Awesome. But you realize that it's more complex than that. It's like, of course, we have a convectional rainfall, around the lake, and then you have the relief, in the hills. So there is more to do. The system is more complex. There's issues of pressure, there's issues of wind, how wind flows, the wind patterns, and all this is influenced by the heat. So we can have the lake here, but there's no rain because the wind took it elsewhere, because of pressure differences, because of unprecedented temperature differences and pressure and wind flow. So we can have the lake here, but it's not raining. It will rain elsewhere. The water that, the wind will take the clouds elsewhere. So the process of rain, it's a bit complex, but the point here is that because of the temperature, unprecedented temperature increases in temperature, we are seeing uncertainty. And this is not something that some people in the lab or in some med station sat and cooked up. It's something that scientists have observed
Around for a period of time.
for a period of time. It's something that has been observed for a period of time. And a lot of the issues, the challenges we are seeing in the world today, we have the droughts, for example, they are attributed to that. We've always had droughts, but the droughts are worsening.
Yeah.
A country like Kenya, like last year, we had a drought, a serious drought. And I remember there was a report that, for example, I would say about a good number, but maybe 500 elephants died last year in national parks, in protected areas under Kenya Wildlife Service. And a bunch of other animals died because of the drought. And of course, we saw on television domestic
Even
animals,
even human beings.
and of course, human
Like we
beings.
keep on reading that there are areas that have not received rainfall for 2-3 years. That is a very long time.
Yeah.
Not to be seeing rain.
Mhm.
That means all the wells that were there are drying or almost dry.
Yeah.
There's no food at all for even animals, and that means you have to go very long distances
Mhm.
and things like that. And these areas also have their own other problems and issues.
Traditional
altogether.
problems that are
and
there, of course.
Together,
Yep.
and it, like we say, it's just making the problems we had get more conspicuous.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So you haven't answered the question. What has it got to do with us? What did we do?
Still, like I was saying, it's complex in this sense. Our lives revolve around, the elements. I mean, if the sun didn't come up, we will still be in our homes,
Really sleeping.
won't we? Here.
Yeah.
I mean, we only woke up. I always like looking at this. I know it's pretty silly, but like we only woke up because the sun came up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if the sun didn't come up, we would still be in our homes, and this place wouldn't be open.
Oh yeah.
I know it's almost people will find it odd to think about such things, but I mean we are programmed already by the elements. Our lives are based on the elements. The sun coming out, sun setting, the rain coming out. All these plants we see, the vegetation here is because the sun comes up. I mean, if the sun didn't come up and we had darkness for some time, these plants will go down because they depend on the sun for photosynthesis and all that to make their food. So this is part of our life. Where we are sitting now is cool. Probably one of the reasons why it's cool, other than the roof that we have, is that we are surrounded by trees. I mean, if you look all around here, we have trees. The trees are cooling the place, basically. It means that without the trees, then this place will be almost unbearable to sit. If you walk in the streets of Kisumu now, people are complaining that it's so hot.
It's not like that.
I think people have been complaining, I don't know for how
Yeah.
not just today. I think this complaint
But
started
it's
some
worse
way back,
now. It feels like
and it's
worse
worsening.
now. Yeah.
It's worsening. I remember growing up, and I think one way of looking at climate change is not to bog ourselves down too much with the jargon and all the fancy technical terms. It's just looking at it the way it is. And the way it is that we realize that our weather patterns have changed. People are complaining that it's warmer now than it was some time back.